win, go win, go win, go win, go win, win, go win.
Let's go out to Green Bay, Lambeau Field, Monday Night Football, as Jalen Hurts and the 6-2 Philadelphia Eagles are traveling to Green Bay to take on Jordan Love and the 5-2-1 Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. The Packers are favored by 2.5 points. It's an 8:15 p.m. kickoff on ESPN. The over-under for this matchup is 44.5 points. So, as I evaluate this matchup, obviously this is a big test for the Green Bay Packers. I have said all season long that the Packers are Super Bowl contenders in the NFC. And once the Packers traded for Micah Parsons, to me, pairing Micah Parsons alongside Rashawn Gary, that made the Packers one of the premier defenses in the NFL, because that tandem as pass rushers, that's a top 5 tandem as pass rushers in the NFC. I don't think there's another team in the NFL that has as great of 2 pass rushers as Rashawn Gary and Micah Parsons. And when you look at the Packers offense, you got Jordan Love at quarterback. You got Josh Jacobs, who's one of the best running backs in the NFL. You got Matt LaFleur, who's a really, really good head coach and a average play caller at times. But the offense is dynamic, especially in the passing game, with playmakers like Romeo Doubs, like Malik Heath, like Savion Williams, like Matthew Golden, like Christian Watson, who's back in the mix as well. So to me, coming into the season, once the Packers acquired Micah Parsons, the 2 best teams in the NFC were considered the Packers and the Eagles in my eyes. But the Packers have had 2 bad losses against the Browns in week 3 and against the Panthers in week 9. And so, to me, the Packers play down to the competition. When they play against elite teams like the Detroit Lions in week 1, like the Washington Commanders in week 2, we thought the Commanders were an elite team in the NFC in week 2. They beat those teams. The Steelers are not an elite team to me, but the Packers dominated the Steelers in week 8, specifically in the second half in the fourth quarter. And so there has been times this year where the Packers have looked like a top 5 team in the NFL and the biggest threats to the Eagles in the NFC. But then there have also been times this year where the Packers have played below their competition and they've lost games, like they lost in week 3 against the Browns and week 9 against the Panthers. 2 games the Packers should not have lost. I mean, it is inexcusable for the Packers to be losing to the Cleveland Browns and the Carolina Panthers at Lambeau, at Lambeau Field. So I believe that if the Packers play to their potential, they should be considered the biggest threats to the Eagles in the NFC. But make no mistake about it, the road to the Super Bowl goes through the defending Super Bowl champion, Philadelphia Eagles. And that's where I want to begin in this preview when it comes to the Eagles and the Packers. The Eagles, they are 6-2 coming into this game. They are fresh off of their bye week in week 9. And when I look at the Eagles, I thought one of the biggest moves was a move that was not made at the trading deadline. And that's the Eagles not trading away A.J. Brown. Because we have heard throughout the season about how frustrated A.J. Brown has been in Philadelphia. He's been frustrated with his lack of targets at times throughout the season and his lack of involvement in this Eagles offense. But I thought General Manager Howie Roseman did a tremendous job by not trading away A.J. Brown, because in order to win Super Bowls, you have to have good players. And the Eagles have not only just a good player, an elite player in A.J. Brown. I'm looking at A.J. Brown this season. 29 receptions, 395 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns on the season. He didn't play in their Week 8 win against the Giants, but in their Week 7 win, I believe, against the Vikings, he was balling in that game. In that game, A.J. Brown had 4 receptions, 121 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns. And so when I look at this Eagles offense, you got Jalen Hurts at quarterback. Jalen Hurts, to me, is a top 6 quarterback in the NFL. I believe the only quarterbacks that are better than Jalen Hurts are Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and Matthew Stafford. Those are the only quarterbacks that I would say are definitively better than Jalen Hurts. And I'm looking at Jalen Hurts this season. Jalen Hurts for the season: 15 touchdowns, 1 interception, 1,677 passing yards, completing 70% of his passes. Jalen Hurts quietly is having an MVP season. Only 1 interception. His touchdown to interception ratio is 15-1. That is very, very impressive from Jalen Hurts. But the biggest question for the Philadelphia Eagles: when will Saquon Barkley start being more consistent in their running game and be a elite player within this Eagles offense? Because so far this year, Saquon Barkley, 127 carries, 519 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns. He only has 1 game with over 100 yards rushing this season. It came in Week 8 against his former team in the New York Giants. He had 14 carries, 150 rushing yards, 1 touchdown. But so far this year, Saquon Barkley has not been anywhere close to the version of himself that we've seen in 2024. The 2025 Saquon Barkley has not come close to the 2024 version of Saquon Barkley. And in order for the Philadelphia Eagles to repeat as Super Bowl champions, they're going to need Saquon Barkley to turn into Saquon Barkley and be an elite running back for this football team. It can't just be Jalen Hurts in the passing game. Now, they have the talent to where they can rely on Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, and Devontae Smith to carry them back to the Super Bowl. But if you want to be true Super Bowl contenders and be the favorites in the NFC, they're going to need Saquon Barkley to start playing at an elite level. And Saquon Barkley has not played at an elite level in these first 8 games of the season for the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm expecting Saquon Barkley to amp it up. And as we get into November and December football, Saquon Barkley will start playing better for the Philadelphia Eagles. And once Saquon gets going, watch out, because this Philadelphia Eagles offense becomes unstoppable if Saquon is playing the running back position at an elite level. That's the only thing that's holding them back right now. I still believe they have one of the best offensive lines in pro football. But by them keeping A.J. Brown, I was hoping as a Packers fan that they were going to trade A.J. Brown. I was hoping they were going to be stupid enough to trade A.J. Brown. Instead, they kept A.J. Brown. And we know A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith is one of the best dynamic duos at the receiver position in the NFL. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, they deserve to be in that conversation with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins as a tandem at the receiver position. Also with George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb in Dallas as well. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are in that conversation. But I believe the Eagles are a really, really good football team. Now, on the flip side, when it comes to the Packers are led by Jordan Love. For the season, Jordan Love, 13 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 2,071 passing yards. He's completing 71% of his passes. There has been moments this season where Jordan Love has played at an elite level. Week 1 against the Lions, he played a really, really good game against the Lions. Week 2 against the Commanders, he played a really, really good game against the Commanders. And Week 8 against the Steelers, he had an MVP caliber performance. But in Week 3 against the Browns and Week 9 against the Panthers, Jordan Love struggled. Now, against the Panthers, he didn't play terrible. I thought he had that terrible throw in triple coverage. And he also had a terrible throw that he threw. He had a ball where he threw into the end zone where it would have been a touchdown if the Panthers defensive back would have been able to catch the football. He had a straight shot for the end zone. I mean, but Romeo Doubs also did not fight for the football on that particular play. It was 4th and 8. And so Jordan Love was just trying to make something out of nothing and make something happen on 4th down. I think there was a miscommunication between Jordan Love and Romeo Doubs. But to me, Jordan Love has to make better decisions and stop just deciding to throw the football in double and triple coverage. Now, Jordan Love trusts his receivers. I want my future wife to trust me the way that Jordan Love trusts his receivers in this Packers offense. Because sometimes Jordan Love throws the football in double and triple coverage, and it works. It works. There was a throw in the Panthers game in Week 9 where Jordan Love threw the football deep over the middle to Christian Watson, and Watson caught the pass, and it was a big play for the Packers. It worked. But when it doesn't work, it's a turnover, and the Packers offense starts to be inconsistent. So Jordan Love has to protect the football. And I thought against the Panthers, Jordan Love was very impatient. He has to be patient and take what the defense gives him. I thought the Panthers defense did a tremendous job. They forced Jordan Love to make bad throws because they pretty much took away the big plays within the Packers offense. And Jordan Love fell for the bait, and he still continued to throw the football deep instead of taking those checkdowns with the running backs like Josh Jacobs and Emmanuel Wilson and the tight ends like Luke Musgrave. Now, a big loss for the Packers. Losing Tucker Kraft for the season hurts the Packers significantly because Tucker Kraft was emerging as one of the best tight ends in the NFL. Seriously. Like, I thought Tucker Kraft was playing the position at an elite level. So losing Tucker Kraft really hurts the Packers offensively. Make no mistake about it. But they still have Luke Musgrave. And Luke Musgrave was playing really, really good before he got injured and Tucker Kraft took over the tight end number 1 responsibilities. It was Luke Musgrave. So they still have a really, really good tight end in Luke Musgrave. But in order for the Packers offense to be considered elite, and in order for the Packers to be contenders in the NFC, the offense needs to run through Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is the best player offensively for the Green Bay Packers. And Matt LaFleur needs to stop being so conservative. Allow Jordan Love to cook within this Packers offense when he has a rhythm. Stop running so many damn wide receiver screens, okay? Allow Jordan Love to throw the football to his weapons down the field. You got Matthew Golden, you got Romeo Doubs, okay? Throw the football down the field and keep the defense on their heels. Sometimes he gets very conservative in games. And I thought in the Week 9 loss against the Panthers, he went for it on 4th and 8. And that was a possession where the Packers were in the red zone. They should have kicked the field goal. The offense was already struggling in the red zone. The Packers were 1 for 5 in the red zone against the Panthers. That's the reason why they lost that game. They moved the football in between the 20s against the Panthers. They just could not capitalize once they got inside the red zone. But the one drive where they scored a touchdown, They kept running the football with Josh Jacobs. And that's what they need to do so this offense can continue to be consistent. We've seen too many times this year where the Packers offense is inconsistent and Jordan Love is inconsistent. They have to be more consistent because their defense, they're doing their job. Defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley, Micah Parsons, Rashawn Gary, they are doing their job. And one of the keys in this matchup against the Eagles, the matchup I'm looking forward to the most, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith against Keyshawn Nixon and Carrington Valentine. That's going to be key because we know how elite A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are. I believe that the Packers secondary, that could be a weakness for this Packers defense. Carrington Valentine and Keyshawn Nixon, they have given up big plays on their passing defense this year. So that's going to be key. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith versus Carrington Valentine and Keyshawn Nixon. But Micah Parsons and Rashawn Gary, if they can apply pressure on Jalen Hurts, I believe the Packers will have a chance to beat the Eagles at Lambeau Field. But this is a big game, more so for the Packers than it is than the Eagles. We know who the Eagles are, and we know how great the Eagles are as a football team. The Packers, they have moments where they are a really, really good football team, and they have moments where they play down to the competition and they do not perform at an elite level. But considering this game is at Lambeau under the lights on Monday night on ESPN, I'm expecting the Green Bay Packers to show up and show out, and I'm expecting Jordan Love to ball out against Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm rolling with the Green Bay Packers to beat the Philadelphia Eagles in prime time at Lambeau Field. I'm going Jordan Love, 27. Jalen Hurts, 24.